Let's start on hands and knees. And in your tabletop, go ahead and start to move your spine in every which direction. You do figure eights, you can do cat cow, just starting to get a little wiggly. My hands and my knees stay in the same spot. Just starting to feel a little bit freer through the body. And if you're going in one direction, be sure to switch it up and go in the other direction too. And try moving forward back as well, right? So you don't just have to stay in the middle. Move your shoulders side to side, your hips side to side, forward and back. And go for random, right? So you don't have to be even left and right. And maybe as you explore, you notice if you're feeling anything strange in your wrists, shoulders, and hips. Go ahead and set your hips towards your heels. Walk your fingertips forward. Look forward to the space between your hands. And then actively lifting the elbows. Feel like you could pull the mat towards you. Notice the engagement of your back and your arms. So you can sink your hips a little bit further back. And then as you flatten your palms around your spine, shoulders over wrist, cat pose. Pull your tail back, cow pose. Hips to heels, chest. Repeat it, round your back, shoulders over wrist, and cat. Make it cow, tail back, chest forward. Hips to heels, back to child's. One more time, round your back for cat. Come out to cow, and then hips to heels, child's. As you look forward to the space between your hands, and if you need to separate your hands more, that's fine. Think of lowering your elbows to the mat, or almost to the mat, and then slide your chest forward, keeping your elbows tight, and then pull yourself through right onto your chest, onto your belly. You'll swim the legs back, just making sure the front of your hips are smooth on the floor. Hands come forward and wide of the shoulders, so not too narrow. And inhale, come into a shallow cobra. So it should feel really manageable. If it feels at all a little bit too intense or tight anywhere, just take your hands a little further forward or wide. Bring yourself back down to the belly. Same distance, keeping it the same. Lift up again. And as you hold and as you lift, see if you can feel like you could squeeze the back of your armpits, sensing a bit more engagement at this height. Come back down onto your front, and if it feels okay, bring your hands a little bit lower towards you. So this is going to make the angle of your back bend a little steeper. Inhale, lift the chest. Again, cobra. Perhaps it's taller. Again, not trying to force anything, just making it a little bit deeper. And shift the weight from one hip to the other hip. I'm just alternating. You can move your gaze. And then bring it all the way back down to the floor. If it feels right, bring your hands again closer to you, perhaps even narrower. So now my hands are perhaps on the sides of my mat rather than off the mat, and lift to cobra. As you hold in cobra, lift your head, keeping the biting surfaces of your teeth closed, and then bring your chin to your chest. Again, lift, and chin to chest. One more time. Come down. Bring your hands underneath your chest, perhaps stacking palms, elbows wide. Again, swim your legs back. feet at least hip width apart. They can be wider if you'd like. And then lift the legs. You can rest your mouth or your forehead on your hands. I'm going to keep my head up just so that I can still be clear as I speak, but for a more relaxed head, neck, and shoulders, I'd recommend putting the mouth down. Open your toes and try to straighten through the knees. And then relax the legs. Softening here. Again, you can turn your head to either side, or if your face is face down, that's a good place to stay. And we'll repeat it one more time. Lift the legs, open the toes, straighten the knees. Bring your hands beside you, so perhaps beside your ribs. And then as you press into your hands, let the tops of your feet press down. Lift your thighs, coming perhaps to an upward dog. And over the toes to downward facing dog. If you'd like, pedal out the legs. Imagine your heels reaching towards the floor to lengthen the calves and the Achilles. Arms stay straight. Maybe the knees stay bent. Perhaps the heels stay off the floor. With the right foot, I'm stepping to my right hand. Keeping the front knee bent, I'll prop up onto fingertips, so I'm in a low lunge. Reach the chest forward, pull the right hip back. If you need, you could put your hands on blocks, keeping the feet where they are. See if you can straighten the front leg. Bend the front knee, and then work to straighten the front leg. So even if it doesn't straighten completely, that's fine. Bend the knee. If it's possible, if this is easy for you, see if you can maintain a flat back. Straighten the leg. 2 more times. Bend. Straighten. Bend. And straighten. And then stay here in the more straight leg position. Try to reach your chest forward. You're welcome to hinge lower to the ground. As you do, still pulling outer right hip back, left hip forward. Bend the front knee and put your back knee on the floor as well. Take the right hand up and look up. See if you can really turn the chest to the right. Maintain front knee over ankle. Bring your right elbow towards your inner right ankle and look to the left. So you're crouching in and you're turning the chest. Lift the right arm, look up. Bring the right hand to the left hand, elbow to the inside of the ankle. Again, open and curl in. Stay here. Gazes to the left. And then bring your hand to the inside of your right foot. I'm going to go fingertip. You could be on your block. Elbow presses the knee outwards. Left arm reaches up. Try to really open the chest here. Lengthen the crown of the head forward and up. Option, elbow can rest on top of the knee, or you can keep your right hand where it is. You're going to lift the back knee by turning the heel down. Left hand to the floor, right hand outside of the right foot. Step back plank. Option to lower all the way or halfway. upward facing or cobra, downward facing dog. Left foot steps to the left hand. Come up onto fingertips or perhaps your block. Nice low lunge. And go ahead and square your hips. I'm already lengthening chest forward. Try to find that position through the spine. Remember, if it's possible to keep the long spine, try. We're going to straighten the front leg and then bend the front knee. So even if your leg isn't straightening completely, that's okay. The effort to get there, I'm sure, is a lot of work. Straightening again and bending the front knee. And really try to go to your full lunge and your full pyramid. I'm going to go 2 more times. And then this last one, we're doing our best to hold. And then again, as you hold, hands could be on blocks. You might stay on fingertips. You might hinge a little bit deeper. All the while going for that long spine, long straight legs. If you've been practicing for a while, I encourage you to find the squaring of the hips and also the leveling of the hips. So if your pelvis seems like it's tilting downwards on one side, so you can straighten that out. As I bend both knees, the right knee comes to the floor and the left hand goes up. As you open, look up, really see if you can turn the chest while you keep the front knee over the ankle. So you're twisting. We're going to come in and out. So elbow comes to the inner left ankle as your gaze goes to the right. And then open again. Turn in. And open. Turn in. And open. And so this time, left hand either comes to a block or to the inner left foot on fingertips. And then right hand reaches up. Okay, so if I can, I'm keeping the knee, the legs the same. Trying to peel the chest open, look towards the right hand. You're going to feel the left knee press towards the arm, and with the arm, I want you to push back to the knee. To lift the back knee, we're going to turn the right heel down. You can certainly put the elbow on the knee or keep the hand at the floor or on your block. If you've been practicing for a while, can you make your left hand light? Bringing right hand to the floor, left hand to the outside of the left foot will step back and you are in plank. If you don't want to flow, you can rest in downward dog, shift forward to low, upward facing, and downward facing. So flows are always optional. You can skip them, you can modify them. Find your breath. Look into your hands, step, walk or jump behind your wrists so your feet are apart. Inhale, lift your chest, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, standing up. And hands to heart. Take a nice deep squat. So if you can, you'll try to fit your upper body between the knees and push the knees a little wider. And then I also encourage you to try to find a bit of an active low squat if that's possible. Feel free to always change your foot position to come into low squat. We're not all the same. You might need to have the feet more turned out. Place your hands on the floor and then lift your knees high up to your upper arms, and maybe you just stay there and leaning towards your triceps. If it's available to you, you might lift your feet and just stay in your crow if you are lifting up. And then bring your feet back down. Take your low squat, maybe you stayed in low squat. And then hands to the floor. We're gonna go back, plank, low plank, upward facing, and downward facing. So just a quick little add-on. We will come back to that throughout. And if it's available to you in that moment, go ahead and take it. If it's not, don't worry about it. Maybe you just work on the hip opening of the low squat, or maybe you just see if you can shift some weight. And right foot stepping forward to the right hand. We're going to come into high lunge. In your high lunge, reach your fingertips back so you make it a runner's lunge. Reach your arms up, high lunge. Reach your arms back and your chest forward, so you're in runner's lunge. Stay in your runner's lunge and now pull your hips back. Make it a balancing pyramid. So your crown could be reaching straight forward. It could be slightly tilted down. You were here earlier with your hands on the floor. Just fight for your balance. If you can, you'll square your hips. And then place the left hand on the floor, shoulder distance from your right foot, bending right knee, lift your right arm. So you're going to revolve, low lunge. You can stay here or come to the outer edges of both feet. That means all the toes turn to the right. Maybe you even stack the right foot on top of the left for a full side plank. If you've been practicing side plank, try to get your hips to stack. Right hand to the floor. You're in plank, low, upward facing, and downward facing. Left foot steps for high lunge. Runner's lunge. So in your runner's lunge, you still want to stay fully engaged in the legs. High lunge. Good, runner's lunge. It should feel different to tilt forward. Keep that engagement of the squeeze of the armpits, core is on, and then start to pull your left outer hip back. Navel in, lengthening. And of course, hands can be on blocks, hands can be on the floor as necessary. See if you can take the challenge to balance. Outer left hip continues to draw back. Just like runner's lunge where you're reaching the chest forward, I want you to try to keep that activeness through the upper body here as well. Bend your front knee, place your right hand on the floor, and lift your left hand. First, find your revolve, low lunge. Back leg still strong. And then outer edges of the feet. And you can stop at any point, right? You don't have to keep adding if it doesn't make sense for you. Maybe you stack left over right for your full side plank. Keep the hips stacked rather than turning up to the ceiling. And then left hand down, lower, upward, and downward. As you look to your hands, step, walk, or jump behind your wrists. Inhale, lift your chest. Heart is reaching forward. On an exhale, relax, let it go. Press into the feet. Inhale, stand. Hands to heart. Low squat. Just stay in low squat. Push your knees open. Active low squat if that's available to you. Choose to stay in low squat, or maybe you place your hands, maybe you work on a crow. It's totally optional. You can sit it out. As you lean your weight, maybe your toes come off the floor. And so if you're in your crow, you can come down, put your feet down, and then step back like we did last time. If you want, reach your feet back as you reach your chest forward. Chaturanga. Inhale upward, and then downward. A long breath in, and a long breath out. With the right foot, step forward to your right hand. High lunge. In this high lunge, I want to bend the back knee and open to the right. So you're twisting. Sweep the right arm forward and straighten your back leg. You're back in high lunge. Front knee stays bent. That's it. Bend the back knee, twist to your right. It's the same thing. Right arm sweeps forward as the back knee straightens. You're back in high lunge. Last time, bend your back knee and twist. This time, stay in the twist, hands to heart, elbow to the outside of the knee. If that doesn't make sense for you, you could do hand to the outside of the knee and just stay more upright to twist. If you're going for the deeper twist, elbow to the outside of the knee, hands to heart, press the back leg straight. As the navel comes in, think of lifting your left ribs away from the floor. As you look down to the ground, place your right elbow on the right knee or hand to the floor as you turn the left heel down, side angle, front knee is still bent. So you've been here before. Try to hold, try to lengthen. As you put the left hand down, outer edges of the feet, stack. Come into plank and lower, upward, and downward. Left foot steps to left hand. Take your time, coming into high lunge. As you bend your back knee, twist to the left, arms wide. Sweep your left arm forward, straighten your back leg, you're in high lunge. So we're gonna try to keep the front knee exactly where it is. It doesn't need to straighten or bend. Bend the back knee, twist. Left hand forward, straighten your back knee, high lunge. Bend back knee to twist. Sweep the left arm forward. Good. Let's see if we can Do hands to heart or right hand to left knee. So if you're staying upright, everything else stays the same. When we transition, you'll just bring the elbow to the knee or hand to floor. If you are doing elbow to knee, you want to see if you can press the back leg straight, maybe lift your right ribs to get the thumbs and the chest or the thumbs and the heart to meet at center. We're going to come into our side angle. So it could be elbow to knee or hand to the floor. Turn your right heel down as the right arm rises. Front knee still bent. Try to hold, try to open in your side angle. Right hand to the floor, outside edges of the feet. Open the arms, you might stay, you might stack. And left hand down, plank to low, upward facing, and downward facing. Looking into your hands, step, walk, or jump behind your wrists. Lift your chest halfway, go long through the spine. Exhale, fold. Stand up. Hands to heart. Deep squat. And push the knees open. So there can be a lot of work even in your deep squat, right? Maybe holding it a little higher from the floor, maybe trying to get your feet a little bit more parallel, right? The things that are hard for you, maybe working on those things. If you're working on your arm balance, you put your hands down and come into your crow. And of course, there's that transition to get to chaturanga, but don't feel you have to do it. You might just be bringing your feet back down and then flowing from there. Right, so don't rush it. You just give it one try, see if it's there for you or not. Whenever you're ready to transition, take it back. Upward facing, downward facing. With the right leg, step forward. High lunge. Warrior two. So back heel comes down to the ground. Arms are wide. Front knee is bent. Hold it here. Go ahead and straighten your front leg. And then reach the right arm forward with the front leg remaining straight. This is triangle pose. Right hand down, left hand up. Hand could be on a block or on your front leg. Lengthen the sides of your waist. Make your right hand feel light. So I want to come to transition to a revolved triangle, and I want to give you lots of options. This one can be tough for some people. You could put your left hand, so stay in your triangle for now. You put your left hand on a block or on the floor under your shoulder and lift your back heel to twist. It would look like this, right? Another option is to keep the back heel down and twist. A deeper option still is to bring the left hand to the outside of the right foot, fingertips or block even, and lift the right arm. So go ahead and find that. I'll give you also the freedom to have your back heel lifted or down, right? Some of us feel better with the balance with the heel down. Some of us need the length of the heel up. So make it your own. Think about twist and straight limbs. From your revolved triangle, you're going to look down at the ground. If your left hand is not under the shoulder, go ahead and move it there. Outer edges of both feet, so the front knee bends. Option to stay or stack. Right hand to the mat, plank to low, upward facing, and downward facing. So I know revolved triangle can be really tough, right? So it takes a little bit of work to sort of figure out which version works best for you and try to make the focus rotation with straight limbs. So no matter how wide that needs to be for you, it's okay. Okay, left foot steps. High lunge. Good job. Warrior two. Just pause in your warrior two. Get your spacing. Maybe you're getting into the practice of keeping shoulders above hips rather than having the shoulders shift forward. As you straighten the front leg, straighten the front arm forward. Triangle, left hand down, right hand up. Looking down to the floor, come into your revolved triangle. Know that if you'd like, you can shorten your stance. Again, depending on your practice, perhaps you're also working on squaring the hips or leveling your hips. And as you look down to the floor, bring your right hand under your shoulder if it's not already there, and come to the outer edges of your feet. Find that you're either staying here or coming to your full side plank. And then back to plank. Lower, upward, and downward. Checking in with how you feel through your whole body. I'm gonna look to the hand, step walker, jump behind the wrist. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, forward fold. Stand up. Hands to heart, deep squat. So this time as we come into our crow pose, if you were practicing crow pose, I'm going to challenge you to see if you can hold it a little bit longer. Maybe if you can hold it a little bit longer, right, and that's still easy for you, you might work to straighten your arms a little bit. So that's going to happen as you round your spine, really pull the heels up to the bum. If you're just working on coming up to crow, just trying to get your feet off the ground, you have more time to play with it, right? And if you know already that coming onto your hands is not for you, then just work on this hip opener. Okay, so hands to the floor. If you are working on crow pose, I prefer knees to the back of the triceps rather than the outer arms. And as I lean my weight, toes come together. I might just stay with bent elbows, rounding the spine. Shoot it back if that's what you'd like to do. Inhale up and downward facing. So just take a moment in downward while we all catch up. Long breath in, long breath out. You're going to look to your hands, step your right foot to the back of your left hand. So you're sort of stepping across your mat to the top. And then step your left foot behind your right hand. So your legs are in an X and your toes are pointing forward. Inhale, lift your chest. You might need to stay there or even with hands on blocks, or if it feels okay, go ahead and fold. Try to straighten both legs as best you can and press the balls of the big toes down. Head is heavy. If you want to hold your ankles and even fold in more deeply, go ahead. If you are very flexible through your joints, in particular your knees, just be mindful of your left knee. If you find that you're a little on the tighter side, then it's not an issue. If you're holding your legs, go ahead and release. Take your left leg and bend the knee so that you can place the shin on the floor. And then see if you can sneak the right knee down as well. So your knee in front of knee. We're going to see if we can either come onto elbows like a little bit of a child's pose shape, option A. Option B, sitting between your feet or working to sit between your feet. You might have to sit on a block if it's tough on your hips or your knees. Depending on your practice, you might lean forward a little bit. You might stay upright. Also find I get a little bit more challenged by having the feet wide and more symmetrical, opposed to narrow by my hips. If you're in the child's pose, come into a seated twist position with your right foot over left knee. If you're already sitting, you'll just Tighten up on the knees to bring the right foot flat. And then twist to your right, look behind you. If you feel very comfortable and upright in your twist position, you might reach your right arm behind you at shoulder height. And then give yourself a little counter twist. We're going to come back to our forward fold. So lots of ways to get there, depending on how you feel through the legs and the hips. You might just want to lean back and release your legs out in front of you. If your right foot is on the floor right now, you could lean into it and step into the right foot. So then you're on your left shin and right foot. You put your hands down and then just place your right foot so that, again, you're in that crossed leg position. From there, you'll just step back and you'll find yourself in downward dog. All right, so we just kind of reversed our entry to come out. Let's do the other side. So the left foot will step behind the right hand, and the right foot will step behind the left hand. So now your left leg over right leg. Go ahead and fold. And if last time you held onto your legs and really drew your chest down, tipping weight towards the toes, you might try that here. If it was really hard to even straighten the legs, just go as far as you can. Maybe you keep your shoulders at hip height instead of folding in. And we'll release the legs if you have them. Go ahead and bend your right knee and then place that right shin on the floor. And then ease your left knee in front of the right. Option A, sit back in sort of a child's pose shape, pushing weight back to the hips. Option B, sitting down on the floor between your feet and then arranging your seat so that your legs are somewhat symmetrical and away from your hips, so feet are forward. You might just stay in a seat. You might lean forward if your hips allow. Take it easy, right? So it might be that you need to stay upright for a bit, and then it opens up and you can go forward. Notice where you might be feeling tension or you might be resisting. And rather than gripping against it, just see if you can relax. And if it's really too much or your body feels fearful to relax, then maybe you back out a little bit. We're going to come more to an upright position. To place the left foot flat on the floor to come into seated twist. Again, if you're in the child's pose version, you might need to adjust. And go ahead and twist to your left if it makes sense for you. You might even reach the left arm back. Keep your spine tall and your sit bones grounded. And go ahead and unwind. So to reverse, I'm going to try to come out the same way I came in. If that's not for you, go ahead and lean back and just kick your legs out in front. Left foot's flat. Step into the left foot. So that way you're on your right shin. You can put your fingertips down and then just come onto your right foot. The legs will be in that X position. Go ahead and step back to downward dog, right foot then left foot. Last chance here to do a flow. If you're feeling it, shift forward to plank, lower, upward, and downward. Stepping, walking or jumping to your wrists. Lift your chest, and then fold in. Stand up, and squat. Take a moment here. Last chance to do a crow, if again that's something that you're practicing at all. After your crow, just come right back down to your feet because we're going to be coming back onto our feet to lie down on our back. Okay, so just take a moment, see if you want to take the weight off your feet and into your hands. So lots of opportunities to practice lifting off of your feet, any capacity. Sometimes it's just exposure that we need to work on to get ourselves up. Go ahead and put your feet back down if they're lifted still, and then sit down on your bum. Lift your feet. Take a second here in boat pose. Go ahead, come into low boat. Hold it there, shoulder blades stay off the floor. And then lie down. As you lie down, just feel everything fall into the earth, melting into your mat. And add in a bit more back bend here. If you're feeling tired, you want to take it easy, you can skip and just stay going into Shavasana. If you feel up to it, bend your knees, setting yourself up for bridge perhaps. And then we'll have the option of going into wheel from there, but first come into bridge, just see how you feel, right? Let your body tell you if it's ready. So toes are pointing forward, knees are hip width apart, feet are hip width apart, and we lift to bridge, stepping into the feet, reaching the knees forward. Just checking in with how you feel. Might be nice just to feel the front of the hips open. If you want to take it to wheel, you can place your hands head, shoulder level, and do take your hands wide, maybe almost as wide as your mat. When you're ready, you can lift all the way up. Or maybe you're just working on the half where you rest at the head and then you come right back down. Again, let your body tell you if today is the day. Maybe you did a lot of crows and your arms are tired and it's just not suitable. Maybe you feel strengthened by all that work through the hand. Take your time. If you're still working on it, that's fine. Come back down if you feel like you've been up. Let your arms come down and rest. And I'm just going to keep my feet where they are. If you prefer to straighten out your legs or let your knees drop side to side for a moment, you can do that. Just try to get yourself to reset. We're going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to first come into bridge. If it suits you, if it's something that you want to add in, you can go straight into wheel after your bridge. And again, don't let me be telling you when to go up. If it feels right to go up, then do. If you're wanting to do wheel, but you just have to go slower than me, that's great. Take your time. You can stay longer because it took you to go in longer. All of those things are fine. Never rushing. When you feel you're doing a pose that's challenging. Let's lift to bridge, hips up, knees forward. And again, this is a great place to stay if you're feeling tired, but you like the sensation of the front of the hip open. You could use your blocks, slide them under your hips, right, to get the same effect, but with less work. If it feels right to be lifting up towards wheel if that's a part of your practice. Set your hands in your time and go up. For your practice, right? If it makes more sense for your feet to be wider, if you like having your feet turned out, if you want to be on tiptoes instead of flat feet, those are all things that you control to make it more comfortable for you. Whenever you're ready, make your way down. And this time, when you are down, I'm going to take my feet wide, let the knees knock together. If you prefer to immediately go to a different shape as your counter pose, that's fine. If you're not breathing deeply, see if you can take at least a couple breaths just to feel how your body is more open than how you began. Notice if the breath is flowing more smoothly on its own. You might like to take a happy baby or knees to chest or even spinal twist. You might feel great exactly where you are and want to stay in that shape. Whenever you feel you've completed your practice, so possibly adding in another shape or just straightening the legs, and start to settle in towards your final rest, your Shavasana. If today lying on your back doesn't feel right and you much rather be in a seated position, right? Take that seated position for a moment of meditation. Slowly bringing your awareness back to the body, wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, rotating the wrists and the ankles, moving the arms and the legs. And give your whole body a nice stretch. Allow the knees to come up to the chest and roll to one side. And from your side, coming up to sit. Thank you so much for sharing your day with me. Thank you for your energy, for practicing yoga, and especially for all of your efforts. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.